Hello everyone. There's something that Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe, which I didn't believe at the time because I thought the governing body was really honest. There's no lying tongue among them. You hear rumors about Christ's return in 1874, and I did my homework, which is against the governing body's rules. This information, what you're seeing, I'm going to share the information, what I found, and we will go from there.
Bible Students 1874 date versus Watchtowers 1914 date. Most who are still with the original Bible Students movement that Watchtower separated from to form Jehovah's Witnesses have always believed 1874, not 1914, was when Christ returned. Although they also felt 1914 was significant in that it began at times that was brought upon people on the earth. The Bible students, including Charles Taze Russell, felt that events going on in their time indicated the invisible presence of Christ. For example, they felt that the book of Daniel had foretold a speeding up of communications and transportation such as happened in the latter part of the 1800s. The year 1799 also seemed significant in that it was when the French Emperor Napoleon Bonaparte had captured the Pope, ending the kind of papal power that had begun long before with Pope Leo I. The Bible students also recalled, for example, that the book of Daniel had spoken prophetically of 1,260-day periods and 1,335-day periods. From 1,799 they subtracted 1,260 and got 539. They equated each prophetic day to a prophetic year. Similarly, when they added 539 to 1,335 they got 1,874. Next, they looked up historical events in the year 539 AD. It was in the same time period as when the Roman Catholic Pope Leo I was strengthening the power of the Roman Catholic Church. For example, Leo I had been able to intercede with both Adalga Hun and the Ostrogoths, also known as the Vandals, thus enhancing the Church's hand in political matters until 1799. Instead of going by 1874, the Watchtower Society has claimed that Christ returned in 1914. In fact, for decades they also taught that many in the generation alive in 1914 would never die but see the end of the world or worldwide civilization, followed by Armageddon and then paradise on earth. However, in 2010, as persons in the generation alive in 1914 were almost all dead, and 100 years had also almost passed since 1914. 100 plus 1914 equals 2014. Watchtower's governing body men were lamely forced to switch to saying that not those alive in 1914 would see the end but some in an overlapped generation would. They also stopped teaching many now living would never die, which in any case goes against Paul's teaching that all sin and so all die, which is why the hope for resurrection in heaven or on earth is the good news, not living forever on earth restored to paradise.
So what you're seeing, the information, Charles T. Russell and them believed that when you add up so many days and use 1,305 days period from one point, you get all these crazy things they came up with, numbers, and they add up to 1874. Well, when 1874 fell, Charles T. Russell had to come up with a different date, and he accidentally come up with 1914. And if it wasn't for World War I, everybody would have believed that he was a false prophet. But if you saw my last video about Charles T. Russell and Judge Rockford, they went to Jerusalem. That was on 1914, and why did they went to Jerusalem? With the family and friends? Because they thought they was going to get raptured and they was going to go to heaven. Yes, they thought they was going to heaven. If you haven't seen that video, the picture you see in the background is Jerusalem. So, Jehovah's Witnesses, you've been following a man that gave you a name that supposedly was going to heaven in 1914. And that's Judge Rutherford. So you are following a false prophet. You're named after a false prophet. The Watchtower is a false prophet. Why are you still in it? Why aren't you doing research to see the truth that 1874 was the true date of Christ's return? Because Watchtower changed it so you wouldn't remember. Because if you did, you would be asking questions. You would be calling Watchtower saying why in one book it says 1874, in another book it says 1914. Did Christ came 2 different dates and the Watchtower didn't mention that in their book? That would have got him out of a lie saying Christ was going to come in 2 different dates, but we didn't know which one. They wasn't that smart to think of something like that. Well, people, when you take numbers and try to add them up to come up with a date of 1914 or 1874, when Christ himself says, neither he nor the angels knew the time or hour. So what in the heck why God would tell Watchtower and not his son? Think about it. Time's ticking. Get out before you get destroyed